As of today, the occupants carried out an attack on Ukrainian territory using 4 Shahed drones in the Kirovorod region near Kryvyi Rih. According to the General Staff's statement, all the drones were shot down by the Ukrainian air defense. Yesterday, a Russian missile strike on a school facility in Sumy resulted in 1 fatality and 17 injuries, according to the city council. The missile strikes on Zaporizhia yesterday resulted in 2 deaths and 2 injuries. The shelling of the Ukrainian Sumy region damaged numerous residential buildings, including schools and dormitories, causing 2 deaths and at least 20 injured civilians. Meanwhile, in Moscow, there was drone activity targeting the IQ Quarter complex, which houses the offices of the Ministry of Digital Development, Ministry of Industry and Trade, and Ministry of Communications. According to available information, damage occurred on the 5th-6th floors of the 50-story building, but there were no reported injuries. Russia has accused Ukraine of carrying out the attack. Additionally, the Russian Ministry of Defense claimed to have shot down 16 drones targeting the Krasnoselivske airbase in Crimea, but local sources did not report this event. On the northeastern front, the Ukrainian armed forces are gradually regaining control of the territory that the Russians occupied during their recent attempt at a counteroffensive in that direction. In the past week, the Ukrainians liberated more than 18 square kilometers in the Svatov direction, while the Russians still hold about 16 square kilometers occupied during their recent offensive operations. The Russians reportedly withdrew from Novorivka, but it remains uncertain whether they have any reserves in the area or if they expended all their resources during the counteroffensive a few days ago. On the Bakhmut front, Ukrainian forces are increasing pressure on the Russian defensive lines on the northern flank of Bakhmut and intensifying artillery fire. The occupiers attempted several counterattacks, which failed to stop the Ukrainian advance. South of Bakhmut, there were also Russian counterattacks near Klishivka and Andriivka, but these were repelled as well. The Ukrainians continue to apply pressure, and the Russians have withdrawn behind a railway embankment, as predicted a few days ago. However, videos from the area show that the Ukrainian unit, Kraken, is operating east of the railway embankment, further complicating the situation for the Russians. Near Kordymivka, Ukrainian forces managed to cross a canal and advanced to the edge of the village. The Ukrainians also hold all the heights in the area, and heavy artillery fire continues in both directions. On the Donetsk front, no major changes have been observed, with mostly attritional battles that do not yield results for either side. On the southeastern front, Ukrainian forces are pressing on Urozhaini from 3 sides, and it appears that they have reached the village's northern borders, while a larger part of the village towards the south remains a no-man's land. Alexander Khodakovsky, the commander of the pro-Russian separatist Vostok Battalion, claims that the Ukrainians conducted several raids on the village, describing the deteriorating situation in Urozhaini due to the operational encirclement. Russian sources claimed last night that they reoccupied Staromykhailivka, but this is highly doubtful. This is a common Russian propaganda tactic to create the impression that the fighting is ongoing, even if it is not true. The area beneath Staromykhailivka is still contested, and Ukrainian forces are making slow progress. Russian positions in Zavodny Bazan are also under fire, significantly complicating Russian logistics. Ukrainian forces managed to cut the road between Novodonetsk and Kremenchuk east of Urozhaini. If the Russians cannot mount a successful counterattack here, they may have to withdraw from Urozhaini to avoid being trapped. On the Zaporizhia front, Ukrainian forces are expanding their front towards Verbov and advancing southeast from Robotny. It appears that the Ukrainians have gained control of the road to Verbov, which could greatly complicate the situation for the Russians in the village. Ukrainian artillery is shelling Russian positions near Novoprokopivka. South of Kamyansky, Ukrainian forces are making small advances towards Luhov. Currently, it seems that the Ukrainians have liberated about half of Kamyansky, and their positions are now approximately a kilometer away from Lazov.